Raider fan.
There was a time when the whole earth was wilderness. Then man came and worked on the rock and the forest and made a different world. And the one he made is certainly much more comfortable and sometimes safer than the first. Nevertheless, there lingers in most of us a trace of nostalgia for the world we left behind. There's lots of it out there still. But it takes time and money and a taste for adventure to go back, and few of us do. We more often depend on someone like Dan Gibson to bring the magic of the wilderness to our eyes and ears in the comfort of our homes. In work like his, the first priority is a good location. And one of Dan's favorites is the White Rock country near Manitoulin Island, Georgian Bay, Ontario.
I love this northern part of Georgian Bay. It's certainly the perfect spot for spectacular wildlife photography. You look away in the distance, you come in here in the early spring and you see these white hills, you think the snow is still on the ground. Okay, Gordon, we're going to come about.
Dan Gibson is an outdoorsman through and through. His passion for sailing is part and parcel of an enthusiasm for nature in all its forms.
We could stand a little more leech pressure, maybe. Sure. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh boy, that's a lot of wind now. Hey. I gotta admit, I love sailing.
But sailing for Dan is also a means to an end.
This boat will take us into remote areas where in the spring, fall of the year, we'll find good filming areas and we'll have it all to ourselves, and also we'll find good recording areas where it's very quiet. There's a lot of wildlife, but you do have to go inland, so that's why we bring a canoe along. This boat will really only serve as a base. We can leave the boat anchored in a hidden cove and paddle into some of the very remote areas. And this area we're entering right now, called Bay Fin, is ideal. We go right down to the end of Bay Fin, we'll put the anchor, and it's a very calm and safe to leave our boat. We can go away from it all day. And we'll take the canoe and we'll portage over into the beaver pond, which aren't very far from where we'll have the boat. And if we're lucky tall, I think the beavers will be coming out just before it gets dark.
Gordon Gibson accompanies Dan on some of his expeditions. Both father and son are expert canoeists. The design of the North American canoe has changed little since it was first employed by the native people of the eastern forest. And today it remains by far the best method for getting into the bush and approaching the wildlife, politely and in silence. These foxes seem completely unafraid. This is partly due to the remoteness of their habitat and the discretion of the cinematographer, and in part to the fact that they're young. Some fears must be learned. By a touch of Gibson magic, the first mate is transformed into a pack horse. Seniority has some definite advantages. Canoe travel alternates between waterway and portage. In the days of the voyageur, the canoe was the chief vehicle of the trade which brought the beaver close to extinction in many parts of North America. But today, the beaver is thriving and busily frustrating canoe trip cartographers by creating new lakes and ponds and redirecting streams. A beaver's life is one of endless building and repair. The heavy tail serves as a counterweight for walking upright. This beaver is refurbishing a scenting station, a boundary marker which uses odor to warn rival beavers to stay out of the territory. Beavers can now be found all over the forests of the north. Other creatures are more location-specific. Each of the various regions to which Dan goes in search of the voices and images of nature has its own distinctive character. The White Rock country is spectacular in the fall. An abundance of inlets and natural harbors make it uniquely suitable for the canoe-sailboat combination.
Killarney Marina, Killarney Marina. This is the Solitudes calling. Over. Killarney Marina, Killarney Marina. This is the Solitudes calling. Would you come in, please? Over.
Solitudes. This is Killarney Marina. Over.
We're expecting a parcel of film coming in from Toronto. Could you tell me if it has arrived yet? Over.
Affirmative. Your parcel arrived yesterday.
Thank you very much, Killarney Marina. We'll be coming in within the next couple of days, and we'll pick it up then. So this is the Solitudes out.
Dan's boat is named after the highly popular series of environmental sound and visual experiences, which Dan creates and markets as audio and video albums under the title Solitudes. When he created Solitudes, Dan already had an international reputation in the field of nature films and recordings. For this location, the old fishing town of Killarney provides the point of contact with the outside world.
We will return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel. Open your ears to the world's first newspaper for the blind. Explore the cutting edge of today's technology and enter the world of tomorrow on the next Beyond 2000, Wednesday at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Nobody in America sells more office supplies for less than Office Depot. Nobody.
Hey, could you guys give the dog a B-A-T-H?
Milk's got a lot going for you.
Hey, Tommy, we're going to give Oscar a bath.
Carbohydrate for energy, but it's slim on calories. With magnesium for balance, riboflavin for agility, and protein for stamina.
Wow! Is he clean already?
Milk. It does a body good.
Give you cars, VCRs, and sushi.
There's no way I'm going to play in Japan.
You sent us Mr. Baseball. What do you think of our country?
Yeah, looks like Cleveland. What is this? Nice speech, Coach. Gave me goosebumps.
Now we are even.
You got that right.
Tom Selleck.
Got any naked pictures of your wife?
Mr. Baseball.
Want to see some?
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday in theaters everywhere.
Soon there'll be a new Cracker Barrel Old Country store on this spot. We might have to cut down a few trees, but we'll save more than 40,000 trees this year alone by recycling. You see, Cracker Barrel has always depended on the good earth for the meals we serve, and we want to do our part to save her precious resources. Please join us in recycling, and as you travel across this great land, pay us a visit at the Cracker Barrel.
The acts of children, 16, 13, 12 years old. Kids who kill on the next Justice Files. Saturday at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
In a few days, the government may hand you a new law. It was intended to protect consumers from higher cable TV rates. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It's loaded with special interests that could increase your cable rates. If you don't want that to happen, call this number now. 1-202-224-3121. If you don't, you could be the one getting soaked. There are only a few days left. Call your senators and congressmen now. Tell them to stop the bill that will raise your cable TV bill.
Radio stations? Well, if you like Manilow and the Carpenters, there's Coast and K-Big. And if you like rap and Top 40, there's Kiss and Power.
Now, there's a radio station for the rest of us. The New Star, 98.7. Superstars of the 80s and 90s. Not a lot of soft, slow songs and not kid stuff over and over. Just great songs. The New Star, 98.7. Superstars of the 80s and 90s. Finally, somebody got it right.
Now return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
If you want a certain species, you must find the appropriate location. Algonquin Park in Ontario has one of the highest concentrations of moose in North America. Dan Gibson has known Algonquins since he was a boy. Locating the animal is one thing. Getting close is something else. For shyer creatures, the long telephoto lens is essential. In many ways, the bull moose is the most spectacular of the animals of North America. He wears his antlers like a crown, and the size of the antlers is a direct reflection of the bearer's standing in the moose community. It is the adaptation of the nose and mouth for browsing underwater at the bottoms of streams and ponds that gives the moose its very odd appearance and makes it an easy mark for the cartoonist. Ears scan the shore. With nose submerged, hearing is doubly important. The feet of the moose are broad to better support him on the soft mud of the bottom. In this line of work, you must always be ready for the unexpected. The same habitat is shared by very different creatures. Unlike the moose, whose antlers are for ritual combat and are shed and renewed each year, this 16-kilogram snapping turtle must carry its ponderous carapace throughout its life. It slows him down, but then it gives instant protection and so removes the need for haste, part of the balance of nature. To get what Dan Gibson gets out of this country, one must go there and adapt to its conditions. There are no shortcuts. The white-tailed deer is another species which is found here. And where there are deer, there are often wolves.
I never miss the opportunity when I'm out camping to call timber wolves. And Algonquin Park has a very good population of timber wolves, and quite often we have a lot of luck. It's just beautiful paddling out here in the early morning. It's certainly the only time of day to get the best kind of sounds. It's quiet. It's the kind of day that there's just no other sounds around except wildlife. And it's interesting to come back to old spots, particularly for the first time each year, to just see what species are here. See if some of the old ones that I recorded are here. There's lots of new species, but most of the time it's the old friends that are out here singing away at me.
Getting close to the subject is a constant challenge for the nature cinematographer.
This camera blind is really a necessity for wildlife photography. This particular area we're in has a lot of wildlife, but if we want real close-ups of our wildlife, we set this blind up, and we get inside and we wait.
The combination of long lens and blind increases the chance of success enormously. These hooded mergansers are sufficiently relaxed to carry on as if only family were present. This is part of the male courtship display. A uniform like that certainly deserves a careful grooming. The problem of getting close varies according to the species. This is a colony of gannets on Bonaventure Island off the Gaspé Peninsula. Getting close to these very gregarious seabirds is no problem at all. Perhaps sheer numbers give them a sense of security, or perhaps they just don't identify man with trouble. In any case, Dan is able to move around as if he were invisible, taking pictures and recording sound. As long as he is careful, they will ignore him completely. This sanctuary has one of the largest gannet colonies in the New World. This clashing of bills is sometimes called fencing. It is, in fact, a form of greeting between the sexes when either mate returns to the nest. The apparent indifference of these gannets to the human intruder is not the rule, however. Most wild creatures are much shyer. Mallards, of course, have excellent reasons for avoiding man. And in fact, for most species, the long lens is indispensable. The great blue heron is the largest of the North American herons. It has an almost prehistoric look about it. The treetop seems an odd place for a long-legged wading bird. The use of the long lens will magnify the subject, but at the same time, it will magnify every jerk and hesitation in the camera work. It takes years of practice to follow a subject such as this smoothly while keeping it in focus. The sudden acceleration of this common merganser is the kind of thing you learn to anticipate. Wildlife cinematography is full of unpredictables. Will the subject move? When and in what direction? How fast? Will it change direction? Shall we let it pass from sight or follow? Where will it lead? Into more or less light? Will it come to rest? If so, where? While the shot is in progress, adjustments may have to be made to focus or aperture, or if it's a zoom lens, to the focal length, or maybe all three. And while you follow your subject, you must maintain your composition. Patience is an absolute necessity. After years of filming birds in flight, it's not surprising that Dan Gibson should want to take a closer look at the process of flight itself. Extreme slow motion was the answer, and the instrument was a camera capable of shooting at 500 frames per second. The camera must run 20 times faster than normal in order to achieve this ultra-slow motion. Like the telephoto lens, high-speed technology has a price which is not just dollars and cents. When 500 pictures are exposed for every second of camera operation, each picture will get about 1/20th of the light which is available in normal operation. The lens aperture must therefore be opened up to compensate. And as every photographer knows, this makes the problem of focus more critical than ever. But results like this make it worthwhile.
We will return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
This portion of Discovery is sponsored in part by Air Canada. It's a welcome departure.
When you're flying north, fly with a leader. Fly the airline that leads the way to Canada, with more flights to more cities, with more service and more hospitality, even more legroom, on the only business class to more of Canada. Air Canada. It's a welcome departure.
You were here. He had the traveler's checks here. That is a problem. Well, was. Now there's American Express traveler's checks for 2. The first checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
Excuse me, you're the owner of this place?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
So you could buy any laser printer you wanted, huh?
We bought an HP LaserJet printer.
But you could have bought any laser printer.
Yeah. Why?
Just for the novelty of it?
I got enough novelty around here.
But isn't buying an HP LaserJet sort of like a, no-brainer?
Nah, I think it's kind of like a brainer.
HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.
Your kids love the pizza party, but your stomach doesn't love the pizza. When what you eat and drink gives you a surprise, you want a medicine that works on your stomach itself. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, Pepto delivers powerful medicine directly to your stomach, right where you hurt. The real medicine for your stomach. Pepto-Bismol's the only one you need.
Samsonite's Adventure Series luggage is perfect for those active vacations. It's sporty, easy to carry, and like every Samsonite, quite durable. The Adventure Series, for all you can pack into a vacation.
Marvel at the breakthroughs in gene splicing down on the farm. Pull into the ultra-efficient parking garage of the future. And open your ears to the world's first newspaper for the blind. Explore the cutting edge of today's technology and enter the world of tomorrow on the next Beyond 2000, Wednesday at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Hello, I'm Beekman. Give me a T, an L, and a C. They stand for the Learning Channel. What's that got to do with science? Everything. Without science, we have no TV. And without TV, we have no TV shows about science. Simple, huh? Anyway, every week we'll take complicated science and make it easy to understand. And it'll be lots of fun, too. So remember, Beekman's World. Premiering Wednesday at 8 on the Learning Channel.
We now return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
I think over the years, one of the most exciting things I did when I took on a project to train young Canada geese. We started to train these birds for a feature film called Wings in the Wilderness. And they started right from little goslings, and I guess you might say I was Mother Goose. But it really, when you get right down to it, to see these young little birds think that I was really part of their world, and they followed me everywhere I went, and of course eventually they took right to flight beside me, and I think that was the crowning moment.
Helen Gibson drives while Dan runs the high-speed camera.
Inland lakes are not as clear for underwater photography as the Caribbean, for instance. But I can get results in shallow water where fish spawn by merely lowering this camera down very gently among the fish. And with these Polaroid glasses, I can watch them through the surface reflection.
White suckers crowd together in the shallows, undisturbed by the presence of Dan's underwater apparatus. It's springtime, and reproduction is the order of the day. A catfish patrols its offspring. Long before they reach maturity, most of this enormous brood will fall victim to some other form of life. For now, however, even that formidable predator, the muskellunge, is more concerned to find a mate than hunt. When they discover each other, the pair will swim together in intimate proximity. The female is the larger of the two. The male must induce the female to drop her eggs, which he will then fertilize externally by producing a mist of sperm. He bunts her gently, and the roe descends. To study fish in this more energetic mode, Dan turns again to high-speed technology. We never cease to be amazed by the annual upstream migration of the salmon. And at 500 frames per second, it loses nothing of its fascination or its mystery. Dan Gibson's cottage is on Canoe Lake in Algonquin Park, Ontario. Algonquin is one of the oldest of the great park reserves in Canada. It is exceptionally rich in wildlife, mammals and birds in particular. There are 21 species of warblers, for example. Dan has spent over 50 summers here. It was in Algonquin as a boy at camp that he first fell in love with nature. His cabin is near the entrance to the park, and not so much in the wilderness as perched on its boundary. An outpost from which to make wilderness excursions, or a sort of no man's land where Joe, the tame crow, must forever defend his place against wilderness raiders. Dan was at the forefront of a radical development in the making of nature films in North America. In the early days when Dan was entering the field, the soundtrack of the typical nature film consisted of music or narration. Nothing else was offered.
It didn't take long to really find out that there was something very much lacking, and that was natural sounds. People got awful tired of just hearing music. They wanted to hear. There was a demand. There was a feeling of an emptiness. They had to have wildlife sounds. And so that's why we really got things going in that direction.
Nature is an orchestra of many instruments and many different voices. The amphibians among the finest.
Recording frogs and toads in an area like this is relatively easy. But when it comes to filming them, it's a different story altogether. Moving around and setting up the camera no doubt upsets them, and they stop calling. But I discovered by playing back a pre-recorded tape of their own call will actually reassure them that it's safe to start calling again. This little coarse frog is a fully mature adult. Listen to the amount of sound he produces.
The vocal organ is just one of the resources used by wildlife to send messages to the ears of rivals or potential mates. The ruffed grouse demonstrates. Getting close is as important for sound recording as for filming.
This parabolic microphone is a device that several associates of mine and myself developed a few years ago to really meet the need of bird recording. What it does, it makes bird recording, it makes a bird that's up on a tree, say 100 or 200 feet away, it gives them a very close presence. Now, a lot of people have asked me, just how far can you record? Well, the answer is very simple. Everybody knows the loon call. I've recorded loons 3/4 of a mile very satisfactorily across the lake. This is one of the more modern parabolas. We've mounted 2 microphones in here, and as a result, we do get a stereo effect. It's not quite as powerful as the single microphone one, but it does the job. Okay, what I'm wearing really is a parabolic microphone mounted onto a helmet. But I use this because it's the best method to record small birds when they're half hidden up in these small branches of the tree. And as they move from branch to branch, as I follow them with my eyes, the microphone follows them. The parabolic microphone, of course, is very directional.
Because it is so directional, the parabolic sound reflector gives the recordist the power to isolate sounds which will match the telephoto close-ups taken by the cameraman. Dan himself is a mobile recording studio. In order to keep the purity of original recordings, Dan adopted digital technology.
I've been using this system for about the last 5 or 6 years, and as a result, the sound is much superior when we go onto these compact discs. It's clean sound, particularly in the type of thing I record. There's so many quiet areas. You don't hear the hiss or you hear the clicks of the old LP record.
What follows is a passage from one of Dan Gibson's videos, giving an impression of what environmental sound and visual experience is all about.
will return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
This portion of Discovery is sponsored in part by the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store.
A few years ago, in towns like this, there were no recycling programs. But now more and more communities are welcoming new partners in recycling. Partners like the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store. And we'd like to ask people across the country to join in developing more recycling programs, because we've all learned that recycling is one way to preserve what can never be replaced.
Please join us in recycling. And as you travel across this great land, pay us a visit at the Cracker Barrel.
Today we're going to visit the secret fishing hole. Where would you be without milk? Milk has magnesium. For balance, riboflavin, for agility. It's remarkably slim on calories. And milk has protein. It boosts your energy.
This is the secret fishing hole?
Sure. Ask anybody.
Milk, it does a body good.
From the director of Alien, Blade Runner, and Thelma and Louise comes a voyage beyond the horizon and the truth behind the adventure of 1492.
New World is a disaster.
Gerard Depardieu, Amanda Sante, and Sigourney Weaver in a Ridley Scott film, 1492, Conquest of Paradise, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, October 9th at theaters everywhere.
You probably wonder why so many people deposit money with a bank like us.
We sure do.
Well, when it comes to money market yields, ours are right up there.
Oldie has money market funds that paid higher yields.
Open an IRA with our bank, and we'll put your money in long-term CDs.
With Oldie, you can invest for growth and high yields.
So, there's only one place to keep your savings in IRA.
Right. Oldie, America's full-service discount broker.
Robbery, rape, and murder. The acts of children, 16, 13, 12 years old. Kids living in prison, waiting to die. Should they be punished as adults or sheltered as children? Can we save kids who kill on the next Justice Files? Saturday at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
In a few days, the government may hand you a new law. It was intended to protect consumers from higher cable TV rates. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It's loaded with special interests that could increase your cable rates. If you don't want that to happen, call this number now. 1-202-224-3121. If you don't, you could be the one getting soaked. There are only a few days left. Call your senators and congressmen now. Tell them to stop the bill that will raise your cable TV bill.
White men can't jump.
Order White Men Can't Jump October 1st to the 4th on Video Hotline, and you can win a pair of tickets to see
Bryan Adams, the Waking Up the Neighbors Tour. October 10th and 11th at the Universal Amphitheater.
Order White Men Can't Jump, and you could see Bryan Adams. Winners randomly selected.
Man, you were almost there.
Return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
An amazing number of gull species congregate at Niagara, where a wealth of food is spilled out by the churning waters of the falls. Sorting out the gulls from the crash of water pushes recording technology to its limit. For Dan, the sound of water has a special fascination.
I traveled from one end of the country to the other, or I should say from one ocean to the other, trying to find the perfect place to record waves. And I guess you can almost come to the conclusion there really is no perfect place because everybody wants to hear a wave a little different way. Some people want to hear nice, great, big crashing waves, and other people want to hear nice, gentle waves. One of the most important things is to wander along on the beach and let your ears tell you first. One awfully good place to record waves is where there's a great big high cliff in behind, so you get an amphitheater effect. There's a roundness of sound. And as a result, you feel that the sea is almost all around you, washing up around your feet as you walk along the beach.
One of Dan's most successful albums of sound and video is entirely devoted to the spellbinding effect of waves. These were recorded in locations as far apart as Cape Breton and the coast of Oregon. Many have found that contemplation of the endlessly repeated rhythms of the sea and their infinitely subtle variations is a marvelous antidote for stress. The Solitudes series is the culmination of a life of constantly searching for new and different ways to share a love of nature which began in childhood.
Back in the 1930s, when I was a fairly young fellow, I really started to get interested in wildlife. And I think probably that's why I took up wildlife photography, was because of that original interest. Then one thing led to another, of course, and the more you get into this, the more you learn about it. I had no formal training, of course, but you learn from others. You learn from people. You learn from your associates. And the whole world starts to open up in front of you. Your photography improves, you improve your sound recording, and you learn more about the wildlife around us.
Few of us visit the wilderness at the best of times, and fewer still when the cold comes to bring summer to its colorful end. Some of the wildlife flee south. Others curl up to sleep in logs or burrows, and some bury themselves in mud to escape the misery. Even the streams are slowly choked with ice. But life does not stop. With Dan, we visit some of the hardy creatures who remain behind. Winter in the wilderness has a beauty all its own. The snow is a great reflector. It throws light back from the ground, transforming the ordinary look of things. This screech owl must stay alert. Most of his food is hiding under the snow. He refuses to be inconspicuous. Smaller birds must work hard to keep up with the demands of their metabolism in the cold. The beaver never seems to stop. In water like this, a fur coat is not a luxury. Water for the beaver is both a defensive barrier and a medium for transportation. Ice continues the protective function, but makes transportation difficult. The white-tailed deer eats buds and the tender bark of saplings. This is in the Adirondacks in New York State. Most of the deer's natural predators have disappeared. If the population gets too large, some will starve and become food for scavengers. But on the whole, the whitetail combines its grace and beauty with a hardy constitution. Porcupines feed on inner bark, generally higher up than deer can reach. If ducks and geese cannot find open water, they must look for frozen runways that are nice and smooth. Some birds which normally fly south have elected to remain. They have discovered that man, in his proper place, can be quite useful. Winter food and legal protection are powerful incentives. For the complete outdoorsman, the elements, especially wind and water, are as much a part of the joy of nature as the wildlife itself. And this is as true in winter as in any other season. Dan Gibson is an enthusiastic iceboat sailor. He and his friends skim across northern lakes at speeds of up to 5 times the speed of the wind itself. And this, too, is surely wilderness magic.
among the trees of the forest, under the seas, and near our own backyards. Each week, meet the untamed inhabitants of the world and see their lives unfold. Fridays at 8 Eastern on Wildlife Chronicles.
Say you're a countertop. Which would you rather be cleaned with? Soft scrub cleanser with Clorox bleach, which cleans tough stains without harsh scratching, or the kind of powder that's harsh? Wise choice. Soft scrub with bleach, preferred by countertops everywhere.
I see your printer here doesn't boast the HP LaserJet name. Did you ask for this?
No, I didn't. I assumed when I asked for a laser printer, I'd get a LaserJet.
Huh, have you spoken to management about this?
I am management.
Oh, so how did this happen?
Poor management, I guess.
Nah, probably just poor communication.
Yeah.
Maybe you ought to send yourself a memo.
Yeah, and I could make a point of specifying an HP LaserJet.
Yeah, don't mince words either. HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.
It's an all-new...